Update number 2. Yesterday I managed to get the rolling chassis. I didn't film it because I finished it last night, but the brackets at the back end are all on. Let's see if we can get some light on here. And they're all perfectly square. It took me about half an hour to make sure that the distance between here in the tyre and here in the tyre were exactly the same. But now that that's done, it should be good. Might have to play about here because there's not a lot of room, and if I'm getting a pair of Kenda bear claws on here, it might hit the chassis, so I'll have to fiddle about with that some. Other than that, I need to get the steering done now. Need to weld some, because it's hollow all the way along, so I need to, what I'm going to do is cut the front half of this chassis up, like the pan where the engine goes, so I've got all the mounting holes and everything. Get that welded on this end, and then I'm going to use some old shelving. I've got some nice flat bits of metal just all the way along, and well, apart from the centre bit as well, where all the steering gear is, because that sits at a weird angle. It kind of sits like this in the frame, so I'm going to cut that bit out and use that as well. It'll just save me time really, it's just a few shortcuts. Messing about with pulleys as well. This is going on that MTD eventually, that big one. It's got a huge drive pulley. And these are the old pulleys off the original tractor. And what I'm planning to do is cut the shaft out of this rear pulley, and then weld this, I think it's just about 7 inches, onto the 1-inch shaft up here. So that means I will have a 7-inch drive pulley, and then I'll use the centre out of this on the bottom pulley here, so that's about 5.5 inch at the back. So that should stop any belt slippage and give me a decent bit of speed when I need it as well. And get this little, I was toying with the idea of having a double stack pulley, so you've got basically this sort of thing where you've got one on top of the other, well, like that. So you can change change the pulleys if you wanted to, relatively easy. Just maybe a case of changing the belt or whatever. So keep you updated on this. Of course, nothing is ever easy, and trying to get my one of the linkages for the steering attached. And of course, this big green bit here that supports the axle more, basically too long. It's just hitting, and I can't get the steering any further back than that way, because it's just hitting off that. So I'm going to have to notch some of that out, well, quite a bit as well probably, because it needs to be able to lift up with the axle pivoting, and of course the axle pivots a lot more than it used to now, so probably going to have to take a notch out about like this. So that shouldn't be too hard. It'll just take a while to cut through that. Okay. Before I totally hack this chassis to bits, I just want to show you the length difference. It's flush with the back there, well, forward a wee bit. So it has been extended about 6 inches or so that's not bad. Just a way to cut the footrests off now, because it's all one piece and it's stamped chassis. I'm just going to slice up here and then along the top, and these are going to bolt to the side of this chassis here, so hopefully it'll be strong enough. If not, I can just sort something out. This is the bit I was on about before that I need to cut out for the steering gear. It just sits in here and it sits at an angle, so what I'm going to do is probably just cut this whole section out along here, weld that to this, my new chassis, and then fabricate the back. Saves time and saves measurement for different bolt holes and that kind of thing, so let's get this done. Well, that's one footrest cut out of the chassis. Quite a bit of weight in them actually. That's where most of the weight is in the chassis by the looks of it. I think I'm gonna, still not sure how I'm attaching them yet. I was thinking of just bolting them to the chassis like this, but I don't know how strong they'll be, so we'll work something out anyway. I might strengthen them, but time for another mock-up after this. See where the footrest needs to sit in that. Still needs to sit further forwards, the whole back bit needs to sit forwards a bit, but that clamps in the way. But that's just about right. Lots of space at the front for the twin now, so until tomorrow.